Millionaire tries to shame ex at wedding and discovers 3 sons he never knew. Rafa's assistant buzzed through the intercom. Sir, you're 4 o'clock with the event planners starting. Rafa Moreno glanced at his sleek watch, then at the Cuban business journal on his desk, his face on the cover, Havana's real estate king. Tell her 5 minutes, he said, loosening his collar, the weight of his upcoming vow renewal pressing down. The office door swung open, and Inez Valdez, his fiancée, strode in, her silk dress catching the light. Worth more than a fisherman's yearly haul. Rafa, darling, we need to talk about the guest list. I thought we settled it last night, Rafa said, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. Inez perched on his desk, her painted nails tapping the wood. Why's your ex on it? His mouth quirked into a half smile, eyes cool. Because, dear, I want her to see what she lost. Inez raised a brow. That's petty. I know, he said. I like it. 7 years ago, Solana had left him, said his hotel empire dreams ate his soul, left no space for her. Now, with Moreno Resorts raking in millions and Inez at his side, Rafa wanted Solana to taste the price of her exit. The planner's waiting, his assistant chimed again. Coming? Rafa called, smoothing his linen shirt. Trust me, Inez, Solana needs to see her mistake. Inez tilted her head. You never talk about her. Was it that bad? His jaw tightened. She walked out when Moreno was just a plan on paper, said I cared more about work than her, that I'd never build a life. He laughed, dry. Look where that got me. To you, to this vow renewal in 3 weeks. The planner was arranging seashell centerpieces when they walked in, but Rafa's mind drifted. Solana's last look, her pause at the door, like she'd swallowed a secret. Mr. Moreno, the planner broke in. Seating plans? Put Solana at table 7, he said firm. Clear view of what she threw away. Inez squeezed his arm. You're sure? Dead sure. He pulled out his phone, thumb over Solana's old number, never erased. I might even hand-deliver this invite. Inez grinned. I'd pay to see that. Rafa stared at the screen, her last words echoing. One day you'll see what's real, Rafa. Hope it's not too late. He'd prove what was real. His empire, his stunning fiancée, his polished life. If only he knew how that would collapse. Havana's old quarter hadn't changed. Solana's pastel house stood out, coral door framed by hibiscus pots, so purely her. Rafa parked his convertible, the cream envelope hot in his pocket. A kid's kite tangled in the yard caught his eye. Odd, he thought. Solana never spoke of wanting kids. The bell rang its familiar tune. He squared his shoulders, rehearsed his grin, and waited. Coming, her voice sang from inside. The door opened and there she was. Radiant, hair cropped shorter, those same deep eyes he'd once drowned in. Rafa. She blinked, real shock in her voice. What are you... Special delivery, he said, handing her the envelope. She took it, puzzled, then read, You're renewing vows in 3 weeks? He leaned in. With Inez Valdez, maybe you've seen her online, 2 million followers. Her face didn't crack like he'd hoped, just a flicker of worry. Congrats, she said, careful. But why me? Can't invite an old friend? 7 years, Rafa. We're not friends. A crash echoed inside, followed by kids' giggles. Solana spun. Boys, I said no wrestling indoors. Boys? Rafa echoed, peering past her. Sorry, Mum. 2 voices chirped back. She shifted, blocking his view. Thanks for the invite, she said, firm. I'll think about it. Who's that? He nodded toward the noise. My sons, she clipped. Sons, plural? Her grip on the door whitened. Nice seeing you, Rafa. Good luck with the renewal. Mom, Leo took my book, a small voice shouted. Did not. Camilo's fibbing. Both of you. Quiet, a third chimed in. Rafa's mind reeled. 3 voices. Distinct. Young. I should go, Solana said fast, shutting the door before he could speak. In his car, Rafa's hands shook as he dialed back the years. 7 since she left. If she'd been pregnant then... No, he muttered. She'd have told me. But doubt gnawed as he drove off. Her worry wasn't just surprise, it was fear. And Rafa hadn't built an empire by ignoring his gut. Inside, Leo peeked from the hall as Solana slumped against the door, crumpling the invite. He's gone? She nodded. Back to your games, my son. But all 3 boys crowded her, those hazel eyes, his eyes, brimming with questions. Who was that? Camillo asked. Someone I knew once, she said, weak. Was that our dad, Leo? Sharp as ever, pierced her shield. Solana sank to the floor, pulling them close. Yes, she whispered. That was him. Does he know us? Little Milo's voice shrank. Not yet, she said, hugging tighter. But he might soon. Her phone buzzed, her cousin Anna texting. Urgent, call me. Anna ran PR at Moreno Resorts. Word flew fast. In her cluttered sewing room, surrounded by fabric scraps from her tailoring gig, Solana dialed. He came here, she said before Anna could start, with the invite. He's bragging at work. Wants to rub your nose in it, Anna replied. Sol, you've got to tell him. Solana watched her boys chase a ball outside. Leo lifting Milo, Camillo fetching a bandage, her little team. I know, she said. They're happy, Anna. We're happy. He's renewing vows. Why stir it now? Because he invited you to flaunt, Anna pressed. And when you walk in with 3 mini Rafas, you've raised them alone. 2 jobs, no help, while he plays king. He thinks he's won without you. Solana saw Camillo hug Milo after a tumble. You're right, she said, firm, but I won't let him break them. No, Anna said, but maybe they deserve their dad, and maybe he deserves them. After hanging up, Solana found the boys hunched over her old sketchbook, faces lit with wonder at her drawings of Havana's sea. Leo, look, is this him? Camillo called, pointing at the laptop screen. A Havana business article. Rafa Moreno, resort tycoon, to renew vows. Solana glanced over. Her sons had Rafa's dark hair, his sharp jaw, his fire, and made up her mind. Get your jackets, boys. We're going to a vow renewal. The invitation sat open on her table. Rafa Moreno and Inez Valdez request your presence. She smiled, small. They didn't know what was coming. Mom, Camillo's hogging the sink again, Leo yelled from upstairs. Am not. Milo's the one brushing his hair forever. Solana juggled 3 lunch bags, dodging the morning chaos. Boys, bus in 10. The triplets bounded down, school uniforms crisp, bags swinging. At 10, their personalities shone through their matching faces. Leo, eldest by minutes, adjusted his brother's collars. Camillo swatted him off, grumbling. Milo, the youngest, clutched a sketchbook. Did you know Dad's hotels were nothing when he started? Milo asked, waving his tablet. Built it from scratch, like you say, Mum. Solana nearly dropped the bags. Where'd you find that? Online. He's big now. Since Rafa's visit 3 days ago, the boys had dug into him, watching his speeches, reading about Moreno Resorts. Mom, Leo said, careful, why didn't you tell him about us? She set the lunches down. It's messy, my son. We're not little, Camillo huffed. We can take messy. Their eyes, Rafa's eyes, met hers, fierce like his when he'd tackled a dream. Your dad lived for his work back then, she said. Long nights, missed dinners. He chose that over us. But he's huge now, Milo pointed out. Success isn't the same for everyone, she said, checking their bags. I wanted a home. He wanted a kingdom. Now he's renewing vows with Inez Valdez. The model with the fancy dresses? Leo asked. And shiny hair, Camillo added. Solana laughed. Stalking his fiancée too? They grinned, caught. We just wanted to know him, Milo said, soft. The bus honked. Tonight, she promised, hugging them. We'll talk more. About him, about this event. Watching them bored, Solana pulled the crumpled invite and her phone. Anna, it's me. Tell me everything about this renewal. Through the bus window, she saw her boys plotting, probably picking outfits, words, ways to face the dad they'd dreamed of. She typed her RSVP. Solana plus 3 guests will attend. Let the storm brew. The Hotel Colonial's ballroom buzzed with Havana's elite. Rafa stood tall, shaking hands, while Inez dazzled investors with her smile. The tables are stunning, the planner gushed. And the guest list? Rafa didn't hear, eyes flicking to the doors. Solana hadn't RSVP'd, but his gut said she'd show. Rafa, Inez waved. The Garcias want to talk expansion. He flashed his tycoon grin and turned. Then the whispers started, growing to gasps, then silence. He spun. Solana stood at the entrance, graceful in a coral dress. But it wasn't her that stopped the room. 3 boys flanked her in matching jackets, dark hair swept back. His hair, his eyes, his face tripled. Oh my, Inez breathed, her glass wobbling. The boys moved as one. Leo, chin high, daring. Camillo, steady and bold. Milo, gripping a sketchbook, quiet but sure. Rafa, Solana said, stepping forward, the boys with her. Congrats on your renewal. Inez's glass hit the floor, shattering, nobody moved. These are my sons, Solana said, calm. Leo, Camillo, Milo. She paused. Your sons. The room tilted. Rafa grabbed a table edge. That's not possible, Inez snapped. Rafa, tell her. But Rafa was counting. 7 years since she'd left. Her pause at the door. The nausea she'd brushed off. I found out after I walked away, Solana said, low. You were closing your first big deal. Said you couldn't afford distractions. Distractions? His voice broke. They're my kids. We're 10, Leo announced. We like building stuff, soccer, Camillo added, and drawing, Milo finished, and we've read all about you. Rafa stumbled back. 3 pairs of his eyes stared, unflinching. This is absurd, Inez said, loud. We'll need tests, lawyers. Already done, Solana cut in, pulling a folder. Birth records, DNA. I kept it all. The planner gasped, swaying. Rafa didn't blink, locked on the boys, his boys, studying him back. We need to talk, Solana said, soft. All of us. The last thing Rafa saw before his knees buckled was Inez storming out, his sons rushing forward, moving as one like he'd taught his teams to close a deal, and catching him as he fell. Drink this. Solana handed Rafa water in a quiet room off the ballroom, away from the stunned crowd and flashing phones. The boys sat across on a velvet couch, still in sync, like his old family photos reborn. How long were you hiding this? His voice rasped. Forever at first, Solana said, sitting by them. Then you showed up with that invite, to prove me wrong. I wanted to prove you wrong, Rafa said, voice raw. We know, Leo spoke up steady. We read about your resorts. Mom says you picked that over us. Rafa flinched. Is that what you told them? Just the truth, Solana replied, calm. You were chasing something big, and I chose not to get in the way. The door flew open. Inez stormed in, eyes smudged with mascara. Guests are leaving. This is a mess. Inez, please, Rafa started. Don't it please me? She snapped. You've got 3 kids you never mentioned. I didn't know, he whispered. Is she always this loud? Camillo asked his brothers, loud enough for all to hear. Milo smirked behind his sketchbook. Solana bit back a grin. Inez's face flushed. I can't. I need air. She stormed out. Silence settled. Rafa studied his sons. Leo, the shield. Camillo, the spark. Milo, the quiet dreamer. 7 years he'd never touch. The renewal's in 2 weeks, he said, dazed. We know, the boys chimed together. I need time to think, Solana rose. Of course, boys, say goodbye to your dad. Dad hit like a wave. Leo stepped up, offering a firm handshake. Nice meeting you, sir. Camillo waved, casual. Your hotel designs are cool. Milo nodded, clutching his sketches. As they turned, Rafa called, "Wait, what do you like? I want to know everything." Solana paused at the door. "Come by tomorrow, we'll talk. All of us." He nodded mute. After they left, Rafa sat alone, the ballroom's hum fading through the walls. 3 boys, bright, bold, his, grown without him because he'd been too lost in his empire to see what slipped away. His phone lit. "Inez, renewal's off. Need space." For the first time, Rafa Moreno had no blueprint, no next move, and it scared him less than losing them again. "They're asleep," Solana said, joining Rafa on her porch a week later, Havana's night alive with crickets. "They're amazing," he murmured, still reeling from an evening of card games. "Leo outsmarted me at dominoes. He's unbeatable. Camillo rigged my phone's alarm to salsa music. Milo's glued to that art book I brought." Solana smiled. "They're yours, all right." "Why didn't you tell me the real why?" She watched the stars over her tiny yard, quiet. "Remember the week I left? You were locking in your first resort deal." Rafa nodded, her tired face in his office, him brushing her off mid-call. "I tried 3 times to say I wasn't well," she said even. "You were on the phone each time? The day I found out I was pregnant, you were prepping your pitch, said, 'Nothing can stop me today. This resort's my heart.'" She faced him. "So I chose. Your heart or ours?" Rafa sank back. "That's not fair." "No, it wasn't. To you, to them. But I was alone, scared, watching you pick work over me every day." He swallowed. "I'd have changed." "Would you?" She pressed. "Be real. If I'd told you then, what would you have done?" He pictured his younger self, driven, blind. "I don't know." "I do," she said, voice breaking. "You'd have sent money, hired help, fit us between meetings, but they needed a dad, not a bank. And now? Ask them." She stood. "They're not asleep, by the way. Probably eavesdropping." 3 thumps and scuffles proved her right. Rafa laughed, soft. "Definitely mine." "Yes," she agreed, warm. "Question is, are you ready to be theirs?" Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. Inez calling. Solana saw. "Take it. You've got choices to make." She left him staring at the screen, weighing 2 legacies. "Sir, the investor calls in 10, his assistant said through the phone. "Cancel it," Rafa replied. "But the quarterly?" "Luz can handle it." He adjusted his mirror, watching the school gate. "I'm taking my sons to lunch." He hung up as 3 figures dashed out, faces bright at his convertible. "Front seat," Camillo yelled. "No way! I'm oldest!" Leo shot back. Milo slid into the back, sketchbook open. "Everyone gets a turn," Rafa said, marveling at how right this felt after 2 weeks. "Leo today, Camillo tomorrow, Milo after." "Fair," they sang. At the cafe they picked, Rafa watched them tackle fried plantains, questions flying. "Did you really design your first hotel at 9? Camillo asked, mouthful. 8, a shack sketch." "Mum says you met at an art fair," Leo added. "She showed a weaving project, blew mine away." Rafa grinned. Milo peeked up. "Are you still renewing vows?" The air stilled. Rafa set his drink down. "Inez and I, we're taking a break." "Because of us?" Milo's voice shrank. "No," Rafa said firm, "because I need to sort what matters." "Mom says that's why you split," Camillo noted. "Wrong priorities." Rafa looked at them. So young, so sharp. She was right about a lot. "She usually is," Milo mumbled. His phone buzzed another crisis at work. He switched it off. "Who wants ice cream?" 3 hands flew up. Dropping them back, Rafa felt calm. No deal screaming, just 3 boys waving, mango stains on their shirts. His assistant was likely panicking. Inez had left voicemails. But Rafa had his focus clear, walking back to school, debating tomorrow's front seat. Inez found Rafa in his study, surrounded by kids' soccer schedules on 3 screens. "This is what you're doing." She grabbed a swim club flyer. "While our renewal falls apart, we need to talk," he said, gesturing to a chair. "About your secret kids, or missing every planner meeting?" Both. She stood, arms crossed. I've been patient, Rafa, given you time to figure this out. 3 weeks, and they're not just a phase, they're your sons. I was mad at first, he admitted, leaning back. But Solana was right about me back then. Now what? Inez softened. Who are you? The Rafa I said yes to build empires, not kids' sports rosters. I'm trying to do both, Rafa said, steady. Inez laughed, sharp and bitter. You've skipped 3 investor calls this week. The resort deal with Playa Corp is slipping. The press is eating up the rumours. She paced his study, Havana's dusk filtering through the shutters. Will the company survive? Will we? Rafa met her gaze. That depends. Can you handle that my heart's shifted? Shifted? She spun. It's flipped upside down. You used to say nothing topped Moreno Resorts. I was wrong, he said, rising. Look what that built. He waved at the grand room marble floors, art-lined walls. A life we planned. A life of work and missed chances, he counted. I won't miss theirs. Inez froze. You're picking them. I'm picking being their dad, he said. Soft. Over being the man you signed up for because that guy wasn't good for them, or maybe even you. Her shoulders fell. She slid off her ring, setting it on his desk. Goodbye, Rafa. At the door, she paused. For what it's worth, those boys are lucky to get this you. Alone, Rafa pulled up soccer schedules. 3 teams had spots. His sons would need gear, shoes, shin pads. His phone buzzed. Solana. Boys asking if you're still coming to their art show tomorrow. He grinned, clearing his day. Some choices were easy. The numbers don't lie. Los, his CFO, slid the report across the table. Market value's down 15% since your situation hit the news. Rafa skimmed it, feeling the boardroom's weight. 8 suits, eyes from wary to cold. Situation? He echoed. You mean my kids? The timing's rough, Carla from legal cut in. With the Playa Corp deal, my sons aren't timing. Rafa's voice hardened. Next topic. There's no next, Luz pressed. You've missed 6 key meetings in 2 months. The press says you're shaky. Investors are jittery. Let them jitter, Rafa stood. Meeting's done. We're not through, Carla snapped. Actually, we are. I've got a school meeting at 3. Murmurs erupted. Luz called. The board's talking no confidence. Rafa stopped, turned slow. You built this, Rafa, Luz said, but now you're building something else. A family. A distraction. He leaned on the table. Listen clear. Moreno matters, but if you make me pick between this chair and my boys, you'll lose. A threat? A fact. I hold majority shares. I can end this board with 1 call. Carla shifted papers, tense. That'd crash the stock. Then don't push me. He checked his watch. My son's art teacher's waiting. In his car, Rafa loosened his tie, exhaled. 3 missed calls. Investors, PR. 1 from Solana. He dialed her. How'd it go, she asked. Rough as expected. The boys? Nervous to show you their drawings. Even Milo got a gold star in class. He smiled, tension fading. Tell them I'm coming. Dad, look. Camilla balanced on a crate in Rafa's backyard. New nets, a half-built fort, 3 bikes parked. Careful. Rafa lunged as Camillo teetered, but Leo caught him steady. He never listens, Leo sighed, sounding like Solana. Milo sat on the grass, flipping between a sketchbook and his brother's. Dad, Milo called, can you explain perspective drawing? After he fixes my kite string, Camillo jumped in, abandoning the crate. After he helps with my model bridge, Leo added, it's due tomorrow. Rafa felt swamped, perfectly so. 1 at a time, Camillo, show me the kite. They crowded around, Rafa untangling string, explaining lift, watching Camillo's eyes spark when it flew. Perspective now? Milo asked. Bridge first, Leo insisted. Tomorrow? Rafa frowned. Why so late? Leo looked down. You had that big meeting. Rafa knelt. New rule, no hiding stuff because of my work. If you need me, say it. Deal? Deal, Camillo clapped his hand. Even at 3 a.m.? Milo tested. Even then. Mom says you used to work till 3 a.m., Leo noted. Mom's right again, Rafa grinned. But things change. People change. His phone buzzed. Another crisis. He muted it. Perspective. Think of it like seeing your brothers from different angles. The afternoon blurred. Kites, bridges, Milo's lines blooming on paper. Solana arrived to pick them up, finding them covered in paint and glue. The bridge stands, Leo beamed. After 2 falls, Camillo laughed. Third worked, Milo said. She eyed Rafa's stained shirt. Worth it, he mouthed. She smiled, brief, warm, a flicker of old light. Mr. Moreno, these need your signature. His lawyer spread papers across his home desk. Trusts for your sons, standard for high assets. Rafa skimmed. They're set for 25. Make it 21. Sir, the amount? They're smart, Rafa said, picturing Leo's focus. Camillo's fixes. Milo's depth. I trust them? More papers. Company shares. Split equal between them. The lawyer paused. That's nearly 40% of Moreno resorts. Good thing they're learning to build. Rafa signed, steady. A cough at the door knees stood, poised but sharp. So it's true, she said, dropping a box of his things. You're giving it all away. Inez, I'm setting them up. Your legacy. She picked up a trust paper. To kids you just met? They're my sons, not strangers with my blood. She tossed it down. The board called me. Think you're cracking. Rafa laughed. Because I'm a dad? Because you're tearing down what you made. Her voice wavered. The Rafa I loved chased dreams, not kites. That Rafa was hollow, he stood. He counted worth in deals and dollars, not this. Now, I measure it in kites and soccer goals, Rafa said firm. Inez studied him, eyes softening briefly. You've changed. Maybe for the better. She grabbed her box of things. At the door, she turned. Those boys, they'd better be worth it. Rafa pictured Leo's steady hands, Camillo's wild spark, Milo's deep questions, years gone, moments he'd never lose again. They are, he said, quiet. They're everything. After she left, he called Solana. Boy still up? Trying to rewire the radio, she laughed. Tell Camillo that's risky. Tell him yourself. You're still coming to supper, right? Rafa glanced at his desk trust papers, resort shares, choices that once ruled him. Wouldn't miss it. Rafa's here, Solana called upstairs. The house smelled of roasted pork. His new favourite since learning the boys shared his hunger. Camillo barreled down first. Dad, I fixed the radio. Well, mostly. He stopped, catching Solana's raised brow. The totally safe radio we're not messing with for fun. Leo followed, holding a sketch. Dad, sign this. It's for the art fair next week. Next month, Rafa corrected, then froze. No, next week. I told you twice. The room hushed. Milo, joining them, swapped glances with his brothers. It's fine, Leo said quick. Mom can... No. Rafa pulled his phone, texting his assistant. Meetings move. What time? Leo's face lit. 10 a.m. We're in round 2. At supper, Rafa watched their rhythm. Solana's quiet cues, the boys' shared looks, a life he'd missed. You're quiet, she said, rinsing plates later. Thinking about time, he admitted, passing her a dish. All I didn't see. You're here now, thanks to that smug invite. She grinned. Not my proudest move. No, it was brilliant. You knew I needed them. From the living room, shouts. Camillo accusing Milo of cheating at cards. I get it now, Rafa said soft. She touched his arm brief. I know you do. Dad, Milo called. Camillo's stacking the deck. Am not. Rafa and Solana traded smiles. Duty calls, she said. He stepped into the chaos, his chaos. Better late than never. Rafa sat in the doctor's office, staring at the scan, words blurring. Advanced, 6 months, limited options. Mr. Moreno, Dr. Vega leaned in. Want me to go over it again? No, Rafa folded the papers. I get it. He drove, dazed. 3 months back, he'd blamed headaches on late nights, stumbles on stress. His phone buzzed. Leo, beat Camillo at Domino's. When you coming? He pulled over, chest tight. How do you tell 3 10-year-olds their dad, newly theirs, was slipping away? He called Solana. Rafa, aren't you at... I need you, alone. Your voice, she said. Coffee shop by your office, 20 minutes. She arrived, saw his face, ordered rum instead. How bad? He slid the papers. Her hands shook as she read. 6 months, if I'm lucky. Treatment might stretch it, not fix it. The boys... Her voice broke. I know, he said, empty. Don't give up. She grabbed his hand. I'm facing it. He pulled more papers. Trusts, shares, custody. Stop. They need you, not this. They have you. He squeezed back. You've always been enough. She cried, silent. How do we tell them? Together, he said firm, like we should have started. His phone buzzed. Camillo. Milo says waves aren't like triplet signals. You promised to explain. Rafa stared, time pressing. Tonight, he said. We tell them tonight. Solana wiped her eyes. They're tougher than us. They're kids, he smiled, weak. Our kids. They sat, 2 parents bracing for the impossible, bound by love for 3 boys who deserved more than fate allowed. Rafa sat at his desk, 3 woven notebooks open. His hands trembled from meds, but he wrote steady. Dear Leo, he began, you're the anchor, keeping your brothers safe, like when you caught Camillo off that crate. He paused, dizzy. Doctors gave him 4 months. He'd use every second. Dear Camillo, in the next, your fire's like mine, always chasing, but you put heart first, not deals. The 3rd stung. Dear Milo, your wonder matches your mom's, digging deep, asking why. Each book filled. Leo got leadership he had learned late. Camillo the raw tales of his wins and flops. Milo the physics that shaped his world. Between, he lived for them, teaching Leo Domino's tricks, fixing Camillo's kite code, sketching waves with Milo. Solana filmed it all, quiet, for later. The boys knew he was sick. Took it strong, turning their minds to solutions, grilling doctors. We're not quitting, Leo said daily. There's a fix, Camillo swore. Odds can shift, Milo added. Rafa wrote through pain. The kite that flew, your first art prize, when you rewired my phone. Each memory inked, sketches of circuits, maps to lessons he'd found too late. Most of all, he wrote in each, success isn't resorts or riches, it's this, us. The books thickened, his strength thinned. Ready? Solana asked, fixing his tie. 3 months gone. Leo's art fair finals today. Yeah, he said, saving breath. He's nervous, she said. He's brilliant, Rafa grinned. The school hall hummed. Rafa spotted them, 3 dark heads tweaking a model bridge. Dad! They rushed, hugging soft, careful since his last stay. How's our star? The joints keep buckling, Camillo said. Math's solid, Milo added. Rafa pointed, shaky. There, reinforce it. Leo adjusted. The bridge held. 2 minutes, the judge called. Can you stay? Leo asked, worried. Solana glanced. Rafa should have rested. Nothing could pull me, he said. The rounds flew. Leo's team climbed, steady, bold. In the finals, their bridge stood tall. Cheers erupted. We won. Leo ran up medal high. You won, Rafa said, voice faint, proud. At home, watching them laugh, Solana caught his look. No regrets? One, he whispered. Not more time. You've given them enough, she said. He thought of the notebooks. Almost enough. Solana sat on her porch, watching 3 15-year-olds hunch over tablets in the fort Rafa had started. Now their Moreno brothers build lab. Mom! Camillo yelled. Found another! She climbed up, ducking under the sign. 3 grins met her. Look, Leo pointed, a hidden note in Rafa's old resort plans. Success without family is just sand slipping through. He left these everywhere, Milo read. She touched the worn notebook on her knee, one of 3 Rafa left. They still pored over them, finding new light as they grew. He'd be proud, she said, soft. Leo ran the school council, MIT bound. Camilla's designs won prizes. Milo's wave studies turned heads at a science institute. More. They were kind, tight, real. Remember that vow invite? Camillo grinned. He wanted me to feel small. Best slip he made, Leo laughed. Milo shut his tablet. Did he know at the end how he changed us? Solana saw Rafa's last days, pushing to every game, filming, writing till his hands failed. He knew, she said, and you changed him. They dove back, heads bent, just like always. Beyond the fort, the yard held ghosts. Rafa kicking a ball, fixing that bridge, his last hug under the mango tree. Their time was short but perfect, like he'd woven it to be.